Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda Ellis.
And I'm Melissa Sutton. And this is Cultivating a Home,
the podcast. This is a place where we will talk about what really matters: growing in our walk with Christ, building strong marriages, raising our children with intention, and creating peaceful, life-giving homes centered on Him.
We'll share practical encouragement, real-life stories, and biblical truth to help you cultivate a heart and home that reflects Jesus. New episodes are every Thursday, so let's step into today's conversation together. Hi, everybody. This is Melissa. This is Cultivating a Home, and this is our first episode.
Woo-hoo.
We are so excited. And in this episode, we're just going to talk a little bit about mine and Rhonda's relationship, our friendship, our history, and then Rhonda is going to explain a little bit about what the podcast is going to be about. So, Rhonda and I first met when I was just coming out of 8th grade, going into 9th grade. I was a teenager, and I was at student camp at our church's camp, and Rhonda was my counselor at camp. She was the counselor in my cabin. Yeah, that's how she was pregnant with her second child at the time, who's now in her 30s. I know, crazy. And my husband at the time, obviously he was not my husband, but he was also knew her family really well, knew her husband, his brother, and him both knew Rhonda's husband very well. She had already had a relationship with them, and Rhonda and I, from her being my camp counselor, became really close and just had a relationship. And then we went on to me working in their home and helping with her kids. She was homeschooling and running a business out of her home. And so I just helped her with that and helped her with her kids, with watching them. And her oldest two ended up becoming our ring bearer and flower girl at our wedding. And then
Sweet.
I know it's just crazy now that these kids are grown. They're in their 30s. Our former ring bearer now has kids of his own. And we just always have had a friendship since then, just had a close relationship, got together. Even if we didn't see each other as often as we'd like, we would just pick back up where we left off. And it's been sweet. So this has now been 30 years.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Your husband and his brother helped us move.
Yes.
And my husband was their Sunday school teacher.
Exactly. I know.
And I think it's worth making a note that our cabin at camp won the Golden Broom Award, the prestigious award where we kept the cleanest cabin.
And I'm sure they still remember that. I mean, how could they not?
They probably think of our names as Golden Broom winners.
Of course they do. I hope so.
That's so funny. Yeah, we've known each other a long time, and you've just been a real blessing in our family. And I've told you many times, I think you have the best personality of anybody I know.
That's so nice.
Thank you.
you.
She's also been very patient. Just the other day, I saw in this calendar book that we have where I write down births and anniversaries, and we just kind of keep it open every day to the corresponding day. And just last week, it said Melissa and I met to discuss podcasting, and it was 12 years ago. That is how patient she is with me getting it together.
Well, and not only that, but there has been a lot of life and a lot of things that have happened over the years. So for such a time as this, we are ready. So I have watched you for years pouring into women through just one-on-one mentoring, just coming alongside people, being a friend to them, and then teaching people in your home, speaking events. Why do you feel like a podcast is the next right thing for you? What do you hope to share and teach by having a podcast?
I really am excited about doing this. And a lot of the topics have to do with the heart and about our walk with Christ, and then how that spills over into the way that we invest and talk to and are intentional about raising and training our children. So a lot of it's about parenting to the heart. and creating peaceful homes. There's also, I love the topic of hospitality and relationships within the home, friendships. We're going to talk about creating systems within the home that help things be more efficient, because we can love our children and love our husbands really well, but if we can't get on top of some systems that make life a little easier, like laundry and cooking, meal planning, and all of those kind of things that are overwhelming to us, then we're not going to have as peaceful of a home as we really desire. And we'll talk a lot about listening to the Holy Spirit talk to us, because He is our guide. He helps us take a look at our own hearts and to examine that and make changes. But He also gives us, He promises, if we'll ask, that He'll give us supernatural insight into the hearts of each of our kids. And once we get that direction from Him, we can better make a plan to pour into them, to cultivate their strengths, and also come alongside their fears and their weaknesses and help just mold them. And I think that's really an important part of it. So we'll also talk about goal setting and asking the Lord, crying out to Him for knowing the priorities of our home, which will make us more confident as a parent, because we won't be comparing to other people. We will have gotten our plans from the Lord for our individual family dynamics.
That's awesome.
So
That's
lots
so
and
good.
lots and lots to share.
Lots of nuggets that you can bring and lots of things that you can share. I know also that you want to talk about friendship, all stages of life. You know, each stage brings different challenges to being able to maintain friendships, relationships with now in-laws, and you have daughter-in-laws now, sons-in-laws now. Those relationships, communication, and grandparenting.
That's what's up.
That is awesome.
We have 6 little ones that are 3 years old and under. The newest one is just a month old. So that is fun to talk about. And it's also a real life situation for me where I can remember back and not think things were just, just do this and it'll work. I'm in the throes of, this is hard. And here's some things that might make this easier. So I'll be able to bring real life examples, which is very important to me. I want to bring humor. I want to also bring depth and a seriousness to it. I want to definitely make sure things are biblically based, but real life examples of the good and the bad. We do not want people to leave our podcast thinking, I can't do that. That's impossible. We want a takeaway each time of one little nugget that people can incorporate to transform their hearts and their families.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also, something that you can talk about and speak into is over the course of the last several years, your family has walked through health issues with 2 of your kids especially. So what are some things that you can talk about with that?
You're right. Life has been very, very challenging. And so I think that will make this more relatable, because everyone is promised to walk through hard times. We've had 2 children that have faced cancer and walked through that. And we're very grateful that they're both doing well. Now, both were in their college years when this happened. And that added a depth of empathy and understanding. And also, I believe I could really talk about helping their family navigate through rough times, as well as suffering and what that looks like. And we also had a child with a traumatic brain injury, and thankfully she's doing well now too. But those were some very, very rough years of facing every day the unknown. And so I think a lot of stories will come out in our podcast about suffering, about hard times, about trusting the Lord in the journey of the unknown, and how God doesn't waste a crisis. So there's been a lot, and you'll hear these stories coming up.
That's good. So we're excited to get started, and there'll be a few times throughout the podcast that we do Q&As that you guys can send us questions that I ask Rhonda, and she shares her heart, different situations that you're going through, different questions that you might have. we welcome those. We're excited about those as well. So, as I said before, I've watched you for years pour into women. And how did that become something in your life and heart that you felt like you wanted to do, where you wanted to speak into women at all stages of life? I've seen you have people in your home where you've spoken. What started that?
Well, when I was a mom of young kids, a couple children, I was overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I know I love these children, but I'm worn out and I can't seem to do some of the basic things like get meals ready on time and keep a clean house and all that. And I was going through just a really hard time. And I began to write down on a piece of paper all of the things that I could think of. And I kept adding more things to the list of things I wanted to learn from other people.
Right.
So that list was like how to keep a clean home. How do you organize things? Do I want to homeschool? How do I build friendships? And anything I could think of. And I began to write down the names of ladies who I had a lot of respect for that could teach in these different areas. And if I didn't know somebody that was gifted in this area, I would look around church or ask people, do you know somebody that could help me in this area? And I began opening up my home once a month and just saying, anybody who wants to come and hear this particular topic can come.
That's good.
And that's how it got started. It was called Ladies Night Out,
Mm-hmm.
LNO at the time. And it was called that for many, many, many years. This is before the days of making things on the computer.
Yeah.
And I hand wrote invitations and said what the agenda was going to be, the topic for the year.
Yeah.
And would send it to everybody that was on my mailing list. It was quite expensive.
Yeah, I love that.
Very popular because we all wanted help.
Yeah.
And so those ladies were mentors in my life, as well as some books that I read, like Elizabeth George, Elizabeth Elliot, Emily Barnes. These books that they wrote were so impactful in my life. So really that's how it got started, was just people pouring into me and to other ladies as well. And then at some point later on, I thought, well, I guess it's time for me to now be the teacher and pass on these things other ladies have taught me, as well as what I'm continuing to learn through 6 children and the crazy things that happen every day, the good, the bad. And then I began to really pass those things on, and we would open up our home. And the whole family was involved in this because I thought, hey, this is in our family. Let's make it a learning thing for being hospitable. And so the little ones would make a sign that says bathroom with an arrow this way, and they'd post it on the wall, and it would be crooked, and I would just leave it crooked. Why? Because part of what I was trying to teach women was don't be a perfectionist, don't correct, and invite your family in to learn the things you're learning and to experience opening your home and hospitality and all that. So we'd open up our home, and the first part of it would be that we would feed everyone. So they'd have a sit-down meal, and our kids would serve, clean up their plates, and this and that. And then we would move into another room, and I would teach on whatever topic this is, the things that this podcast will be about, same kind of topics. And my goal at that point was the same thing it is today. And that is that women would be able to have practical tips that would impact their hearts, that would transform their hearts and their family and their home life. And one nugget each time was the goal. So that's what I'm excited about. Same thing, just a different look to it.
Yeah, that's going to be so exciting. And after watching you all these years and listening to you, and I was at some of those LNOs when I got a little bit older, I know that you're authentic, you're real, you're not going to hide from talking about hard things. And I can't wait to get started. So every Thursday, you guys can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. So please follow along.
Like and subscribe. And we are excited to have you.
Thanks for spending this time with us today. We hope you're walking away encouraged and equipped with something simple you can put into practice right where you are. Remember, it's the small, faithful choices that shape the atmosphere of your home. So wherever you are today, keep cultivating hearts and homes for Christ.